Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now y'all, we got the big fight coming up. Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez. We know what time it is. It's going down on September 25th. Should be a good fight, no matter what you believe. You know, it's two undefeated guys going at it. Two guys that's been avoided. Something awful, which we're gonna get into. First of all, bam, right? You know, something's got to be up, right? First of all, didn't I tell you guys for a couple of years now that when Canelo Alvarez said that he's not fighting any Mexicans, you remember, I represent Mexico. That's white, right? I fight anybody, okay? Right? No Mexicans. Well, he's slated to get fight. They're in negotiations with him and Jaime Munguia, right, for May. Not the winner of David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade, which should be. Not David Morrell, who's been the WBA mandatory for about 2 years, right? No, somebody else, right? So let me just make sure that's clear. I told y'all about that. What did I tell you when Canelo said he's not fighting Mexicans back then? Translation. Now I'm going to keep saying it. My translation then was Gilberto Ramirez, who was at 168 pounds at the time, still undefeated, wanted Canelo. Canelo ain't going to mess with that. Go up to 168 to fight him, right? So that wasn't going to happen, right? So he meant him. No, or 175 it could have been. One of the weights was Gilberto Ramirez. But he meant him and David Benavidez. That was the translation, right? Jaime Munguia is more Mexican than both of them. You know what I'm saying? And he's about to fight Jaime Munguia, who really doesn't deserve the fight with Canelo, but whatever. The point is, everybody's gonna let it just go down like that, right? You're not gonna hear anything about any stripped belts because Canelo has all the belts at 168, right? There won't gonna be no IBF coming saying, hey Canelo, man, what's up? The WBA, who don't want no more regular champions, has the best regular champion in boxing in Dave Morrell for about 2 years now and won't force Canelo to fight him, even though they want to consolidate their belts. The WBC gave Canelo the 168-pound title, gave it to him, right? He didn't have to fight for it. So they ain't going to be saying nothing. It's ridiculous, but I told you, right? So here's something. What else I told you, seeing as though I got it on, right? I told you that no matter what, is there, two things ain't happening in boxing. Anthony Joshua ain't fighting Deontay Wilder, and Canelo ain't fighting Demetrius Andrade. Right, period. I've been saying that for years. They ain't, y'all know what time it is. It would have happened. It was all the reasons. My point is, all the reasons for a boxing match to happen have been there. Boatloads of money and undisputed in both cases. Boatloads of money and undisputed. There's nothing else that you should want. The only reason those kind of fights don't happen is because somebody severely doesn't want it. Not just a little bit, I don't want it, I'm apprehensive. No, I don't want no parts of that. That's the only way that doesn't happen. That's the only way that doesn't happen. Because everybody's getting paid and whatever, right? Everybody, the whole team getting paid, life-changing money, all that, and you undisputed in two glamour divisions, middleweight divisions with Canelo and Andrade, heavyweight division with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. So those things ain't happening. Bottom line. Told you, right? So it's going to be Jaime Munguia. That's just pathetic at this point, It should be embarrassing, to be honest. It should be embarrassing, but when it comes to Canelo, a lot of things should have been embarrassing. And once it's not over the years with him being doped, and he was able to say, it was the Mexican meat, which could kind of been an embarrassing situation, or being the mandatory for Demetrius Andrade at 154 pounds, and just I'm not fighting for that belt. Nope. That Demetrius Andrade gets stripped because he couldn't get fights because he ain't fighting them, and they replaced him with Leon Smith, and Canelo fights for that exact belt. That should be embarrassing, but it's not. So that's the way all of a sudden you build character. Didn't say good character, but you build character. Wait, ain't nobody said nothing about that meat. Ain't nobody said nothing about that 154 pounds things. Then I'm could fight Demetrius Andrade for a whole bunch of money again for undisputed middleweight. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to go wait for Kovalev real quick. Should be embarrassing, but it ain't. Come up with item, Jamal Charlo is mandatory at 160 pounds, middleweight. Fight 3 interim fights. I forgot the name of the dudes, Highland and Korobov and one other brother. But anyway, had to fight those 3 guys, right? Interim. They come up with a franchise title, right, to give to Canelo, to exalt him for not fighting his mandatory. A franchise title. And, it's not only coming up with something, but not even taking the time to really be able to define what it is, right? To kind of really give it some, make it solid, right? Solidify the thing, right? Make it recognizable, something on it. But we don't have really an explanation for it. It's a distinction where we distinguish that someone has done pretty well for the world of boxing, and yeah, we gave it to your boy. Let me fight for that, Jamal Charlo says. Then I'll fight for the prestigious and we give it to somebody belt, right? No, you can't. You can't fight for it now. We just giving it to him now. We ain't said nothing about you fighting. You can have that other belt that used to mean something. It don't mean nothing right now because this one we made up for him that nobody can fight for. That's the one right now. In broad daylight. In broad daylight, right in front of everybody. You Canelo. Building character. Didn't say good one, but character nonetheless. Right? Get the title at 168 pounds. Just give it to him. Right? So here's the deal. When Chris Algieri says that Canelo ain't never ever gonna fight Demetrius Andrade, bam, he knows what we know. They've all been knowing for years. It's gotten to the point where the media are afraid to ask Canelo any questions about Demetrius Andrade. Because he's made it clear I'm not fighting him if I'm his mandatory at 154. If I can fight him for undisputed at 160. If we all sign for DAZN, everybody, me, Andrade, Canelo, Jaime Munguia, and Gennady Golovkin, and they all tell the DAZN executives, we all sign here, but you better not talk about neither one of us after a Demetrius Andrade fight. Talk about the guy on the other side of the street over there with PBC. Talk about Jamal Charlo, because we all ain't fighting him. Led by Canelo. All of that. You know what I'm saying? So the boxing world knows about it, but through the internet, they're starting to break the barriers because you obviously see that in mainstream, it has to be a certain narrative. You're told what you're able to talk about, obviously, because there's no way that these things that happened to Demetrius Andrade should be able to happen. That's what I always go on about. So yeah, Chris Algieri, a very respected voice in the world of boxing, very intelligent guy, right? Boxed pretty well himself, matter of fact. Chris Algieri says Demetrius Andrade ain't never gonna get a shot at fighting Canelo. Welcome to the club, y'all. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm out of here, y'all.